Okay, are we live? Can you hear me? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room, episode 270. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to the War Room. And yes, we are having serious technical difficulties tonight. Can you hear me? That's the most important thing. Can somebody check in on Instagram? Can you check in on YouTube? Can you check in on Facebook? Everybody says yes, you can hear me. Serious technical difficulties in the War Room tonight. And of course, I had a live broadcast earlier today from Polar Park in Worcester at the home opener of the Woo Sox. Got caught in the rain, delayed getting back. So I apologize for episode 270 being delayed, but we are here. And I didn't want to cancel tonight because this week is episode 200 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And I wanted to be able to celebrate that with you guys. So Steven checking in, Ash, Donna, Julia, Alexis, Michelle, Emily, Mr. Cole is there. Jason says loud and clear. Christine says hello. Bish says, fuck it, we'll do it live. Jonathan says, I was worried something serious happened. Everybody, Josh and Tribe, Dave, Fabio checking in on Instagram. Yeah. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Welcome to the show. For anybody that's new to the War Room that doesn't know, this is episode 270. This is, in fact, a room in my house that we call the War Room, which is where we've been getting together for over 4 years now, starting on March 14th of 2020. During the very early stages of the pandemic, we started getting together here. We did 80 shows in a row every night because, well, let's face it, there was nothing else to do. And then when we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast, which happened in June of 2020, we turned Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show. And a little over a month ago, we began live streaming, multi-streaming, meaning on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all at once. And we have had a few hiccups technically when we expanded to stream on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook simultaneously. And I have a feeling that's part of the problem with the live stream and some of the technical issues is that now I'm dealing with updates of not only Facebook, but YouTube and Instagram and the software that I use to run the show. And then, of course, updates on the machinery that we use to run the show. And so, yeah, every once in a while I run into some problems. So we're here, we're live, and it's a big week. And I have a lot to talk to you guys about. I have pants on, Eric. So maybe Keith doesn't have pants on, but I have pants on. If you are new to the War Room and this is your first time joining us, let us know in the comments that this is your first episode and let us know where you're watching from. The War Room family, as they have dubbed themselves, 270 episodes in, would like to welcome you properly. If you go to mistresscarrie.com, you go to the Cocktails in the War Room section on the website. There is also a link for what we call the dictionary, which is the glossary of terms and inside info and jokes so that you're not left behind. Betty is joining us. Let's see. Bish, 200 episodes of the podcast. Congratulations, Carrie. Thank you very much. Fabio says, first episode, longtime listener. Well, Fabio, usually the show has technical problems at one point or another. It's not the most technologically savvy and professional show, but this is where we get together to hang out, answer all of your questions. It's kind of like an Ask Me Anything that the bands do, but we do it every week. So we're talking about concerts that get announced, news. I tell you who's going to be on the podcast this week. We also talk about personal stuff, and I've got a lot of that to talk to you guys about as well. And I also give you updates on everything that's going on the radio shows, on the podcast, within the business, places you can come and hang out with me, different appearances I'm going to be at. JR14 says, first episode listening from Maryland. Everybody on Instagram, they have different handles. And so I'm not seeing, just for the people on Instagram, I see your username, not your actual name, only on Instagram. On Facebook, I see your real name. On YouTube, for the most part, I see your real name. So I can't address Songbird0728 as her real name. She says she's here from Indianapolis, but I don't know what your real name is. So you guys could put that in the comments if you want so that I can say hello. Fabio says, big fan. Thank you very much. Did the Woo Sox get rained out? Jason, they actually went into extra innings. It started sprinkling towards the end of the game, but I had to run back to the studio in like the 10th inning, and it was raining, and it was still 0-0. So Tracy says, hi, what's up, new peeps? Hey, Mistress Carrie, saw you at the Alter Bridge show last year. Greetings from Danvers, Mass. What's up, Andy? Mr. Cole says, no, they did not get rained out. Lost 2-0 in 10 innings, 0-0 after 9. I knew as soon as I left the game that somebody was going to win it right away, which is exactly what happened. But I had to get back to the studio and then had to get back to the war room so we could do the show on time because Amanda, thank you, Amanda, checking in on Instagram, because I'm going to be traveling later this week, and there's just a lot going on, both personally and professionally. So I did not want to miss the war room. Then, of course, we had technical problems, and so here we are. So Bish says, your name is Carrie, right? Yes, smart ass. It is Carrie. Jason wants to know how Wednesday is. Wednesday! She was in here and then got frustrated when I started having technical problems because I didn't start the show on time. And then she left. For anybody that's new, Wednesday is my co-host. And by co-host, I mean dog, who has her own camera and her own Instagram handle. So if you're new on Instagram and you're watching the show, if you look up at Wednesday the Goth Pug on Instagram, you guys can follow my you guys can follow the dog. Joanne checking in on Instagram. Jamie says, hello again from Newport News, Virginia, with the Red Sox logo in the profile picture. Fantastic. Sam says, what's up, Carrie? Pappy here. So, Sam, I can see your name. If you're on Instagram, I can see you. Excuse me. If you're on Facebook, I can see you. Instagram, I can't see your actual name. I only see your handles. Keith says she's hanging with Mr. C. Mr. C isn't here. He was here for the weekend, and then he left last night. I'm going to see him later on in the week because of the traveling that I have to do that I'm going to tell you guys about in a few minutes. Tracy says, you're way up in the county next stop, Canada. Wednesday, come here. Come say hi to everybody. Everybody wants to see you. Where are you, Wednesday? Why can't everybody see you? There you go. Can everybody see you now? There she is. All right, for anybody new on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, let me introduce you to Wednesday. Now, I know some of the aspect ratios on some of the channels, especially Instagram, you can't see everything on the screen. You can't see all the graphics, but this is Wednesday. That's where you can find her on Instagram. She's been my co-host for all 270 episodes. Unless we take the show on the road, she joins me here in the War Room every Tuesday night. Alicia says, oh, thank God my Facebook is now working. That is fantastic. So glad to hear and see you, says Keith on Instagram. Heidi says, there she is. Donna says, hi, Wednesday. Jonathan wants to know what's the name of the podcast. Jonathan, you know very well what the name of my podcast is. It's the Mistress Carrie podcast. You know that. Wednesday, can you back up a little bit? Can you show the new people your tricks? Here, let's give all of the new people on Instagram the full view. Can you give me your paw? Thank you. Can other paw? No, you're getting too excited. Down. Sit. High five. There you go. Now you can have some treats. She gets very excited to do her tricks. She only has so many, and once she does them, we have run the gamut on what she's capable of. Right, Wednesday? Tell everybody to follow you on Instagram. You have almost 1,000 followers on Instagram now. We want to hit the 1,000 mark. Tell everybody. Say, follow me on Instagram. Carol says, hi, Wednesday. Eric wants to know, does the harness have a handle like Wednesday is a, yes, the harness has a handle right here. And her handle stitching all the way around the harness is also reflective. because she's so dark that when I take her out walking at night, I like being able, when she kind of runs around because it can get dark, to be able to hit her with the flashlight and be able to see her immediately. Let's see. Ashley says, love her. Hi, Wednesday. Tracy says she wants mommy love. Exactly. Mr. Cole says, no, she just wants a cookie. Where are you traveling to next? Heidi wants to know. So that's one of the things I have to talk to you about. So it's an unexpected trip, and it is not a social trip, unfortunately. If you have a Backstage Pass, we talked about this last week. We do a monthly live stream for the Backstage Pass holders on Patreon, and we got together last week, and I was able to fill you guys in a little bit. So my husband's family suffered a loss of a beloved family member. And she is my husband's cousin, but may as well be his sister. They grew up together. They're the same age. They have been extremely close their whole lives. She is the first member of his family that I met. And she was the one that I was the most worried about impressing. I think everybody has that member of their significant other's family that you like, okay, I have to win that person over because they have the ear of this person that I really like. And I knew that my boyfriend, now husband's cousin, Teresa, had his ear, and what she thought of me, that opinion would get expressed and it would mean something. And so when I met my boyfriend and then husband, meeting cousin Teresa was something that happened right away. She happened to be in Boston, and I got to meet her pretty early on. And she's somebody that I felt like I really had to win over. And she was always wonderful to me, welcomed me into the family with open arms. She dropped everything from California on a moment's notice to attend our wedding. For anybody that doesn't know, my husband and I got engaged and married within 13 days during the pandemic because he found out that he needed to deploy and was going to be gone for a really long time. He ended up deploying for 18 months. And so we ended up getting engaged and ended up getting married within 2 weeks. And she dropped everything to come to the East Coast, to come to our wedding, and is somebody that I talk to all the time. We were all on a text thread. Would see her when we visited family for family reunions, if she would come here to visit. And she died very unexpectedly last week. And it is something that has devastated the entire family. She had been diagnosed with a form of cancer and had started cancer treatments, and her body failed almost immediately. And no one was prepared for it. And we are devastated. And it's been a really hard week because we have been trying to figure out travel plans unexpectedly. And the family has been trying to make arrangements around the Easter holiday and trying to figure out who could make it there and what she would have wanted, because it was not something where, anyone was prepared to lose her at her age. She was also newly engaged and planning a wedding, and that is devastating to her fiance and her fiance's family. And so we have been, for over a week now, trying to grapple with this immense loss in the family. And like I said, I married into this family, so my time with her is short compared to the family that loved her, that grew up with her. My husband was so close with her. And so I'm going to be leaving town Wednesday. You're going to be spending a lot of time with Auntie and the cousins who are going to be house sitting for me and taking care of Wednesday for me while I'm gone. But we are going to be attending all of the services and getting as much of the family and as many friends as we can together by the end of this week. And so it has just been a really, really difficult time trying to, deal with normal things, right? When someone passes and they're close to you geographically, you can help plan things, make arrangements. But when someone passes on the other side of the country, the arrangements are being made before you can even get there. And so my husband and I have been on the East Coast scrambling to figure out when we can travel so that we can be there with the rest of the family. And at the same time, trying to make arrangements with both of our jobs and households and families here on the East Coast so that we can go. And so it's once we got word on when all of the services were going to be, that's when I knew, okay, we'll be able to do the War Room tonight. I was able to do the live broadcast at Polar Park in Worcester today for the Woo Sox home opener. I got to interview Trot Nixon today, lining up all of the radio shows and all of the other things that have been going on, all of the meetings, the designing of merch, just everything else, all of the other plates that are spinning. Everything has to get put aside for what's important, which is obviously family. But if you're going to stop the spinning plates, you don't want the spinning plates to break. You just want to stop them from spinning so you can focus on the priority, which is family right now. And so that's what's been going on personally over the last week. And it has been really hard to focus on anything else. And so now that, I know we got the War Room up and running, the technical difficulties I was having, I was like, I just don't have time for this right now. I don't understand what's going on, troubleshooting it. I don't get, how these updates keep. Basically what happens is every time I update something, it changes the settings that interact with other things. And it's incredibly frustrating. And it's really hard to beta test because a lot of the time things only go wrong when we go live. And once we're live, you can't fix a lot of the settings because you're live. And so I think anybody that has suffered loss, as we all have, and for anybody that's new in the War Room, this is something that we've spoken a lot about over the last 4 years. During the pandemic, dealing with either family members succumbing to COVID, family members getting sick long-term because of COVID, like my mom's dementia and Alzheimer's being expedited and just being put into high gear because of COVID, or just people getting sick because of other things besides COVID, but COVID making everything more complicated. People dying of natural causes and cancer and other illnesses, and it making it hard for families to get together, to visit in the hospital, to go to services and grieve properly. And it's something that we're all too familiar with, especially over the last 4 years. But grief and loss, you're never prepared for losing someone that is gone way before their time. I don't think I'm sharing too much when I say that Teresa is also a survivor of the Route 91 mass shooting in Vegas that happened at the country festival. I joke that Teresa's only fault was that she was a lover of country music, something that I made fun of her about all the time, something that she would always make fun of me about, saying she was eventually going to get me to love country music. But she was there at the shooting and survived, and is something that she, took a long time to be able to talk about and process that grief and loss and just that experience in her own way. And I think surviving something like that, you think you get this new leaf on life, this new chance. And, this new lease on the mentality of life and how precious it is and how fragile it is. And so I think her family thought, okay, that was the close call for her. And, now that she's not here, it's devastating. And there are family members that can't travel. And that's been really hard. And there are other family members that are doing everything they can to try and travel. It's just been really, really difficult. Donna says, we always understand when you have to cancel, right? And I do understand that, Donna. But it's something that I look forward to sitting down with you guys. I look forward to talking to you guys about what's going on in your lives, about what's going on in the world. And also, you guys have been such a huge support system for me with everything that I've gone through, whether it be processing family loss, or the loss of a job, or just whatever else is going on in my life. You guys have always been there as a source of support. And so I was looking forward to being able to talk to you guys about everything tonight. And I hate canceling because of technical issues. That drives me crazy because we have a really good system here in the War Room. And so when things change, it just drives me crazy. Jessica says Alzheimer's and dementia is an awful disease. It is. And we've talked about it. The arguments back and forth about COVID and the death toll not being accurate. There are a lot of other health crises that are happening because of COVID. One of the things is an overpopulation in assisted living and nursing homes because of people with memory loss issues that were exacerbated because of COVID. They don't know exactly why, but people with dementia and Alzheimer's get significantly worse in such a short period of time because of COVID. And that's what we're dealing with my mom. And just dealing with all of that. Alexa says, I lost my mom and my grandmother within 2.5 years of each other to cancers. My grandma passed within 2 months of her diagnosis, my mom a year after her diagnosis. Louise says, I completely understand what you're going through. Today is the anniversary of my mom's death. This is part of what makes the War Room so special, is that everyone is so open to talk about their personal experiences, because you guys know that talking about your own experiences helps everyone else, which is why I want to be able to talk about my experiences, because I'm hoping that will allow other people here in the War Room to understand and realize that they're not alone. And so I think any of us, when it comes to losing a grandparent, when it even comes to losing a parent after a certain age, you look at that as being, the cycle, right? The natural order of things, that children are supposed to bury their parents. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. And losing someone young is always just so tragic on so many levels, right? That you think about the life that, the rest of the life that they didn't get to live. You think about the rest of your life that you're going to live without them. And it also forces you to think about how fragile you are and how tomorrow is not promised. And, we talked about this with the passing of my friend Mikey Kennedy, the firefighter that we were just talking about, the 10-year anniversary of the tragic fire that took his life. And so now processing, the death of someone that is really, really close to my husband's family, and now obviously my family, it has been really hard. Wookie McKinnon on Instagram wants to know, do you ever think about streaming on Twitch? Matter of fact, that is the next order of expansion for the show. The plan would be next, now that we have gone from just Facebook to Facebook and YouTube to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, Twitch is the next platform that I'm hoping to multi-stream to soon. So, yes. Lost my mother to cancer. Both paternal grandparents had dementia. I feel for you. Thank you, BS Wiki 73. Again, I'm trying to get your names all on here. So it's been a really hard week. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that right now, because it's also a huge week. Because 4 years ago, when we started hanging out here in the War Room, I told you guys that I was going to take you guys along for a ride, that you guys were going to be part of everything that I was going to build my post WAF career into. And so I started my own production company. We launched Cocktails in the War Room. We launched MistressCarrie.com. And then I told you guys in June of 2020 that we were going to launch the Mistress Carrie podcast. And I showed you guys the artwork before anything else, told you that Brent Smith from Shinedown was going to be on episode 1. And it has been a crazy ride. And tomorrow, or actually tonight at midnight, episode 200 goes live. And we have not missed a week. In all 200 weeks, we have released at least one new episode every week. The 200 episodes don't count all the bonus episodes that we've done over the last 4 years. The bonus episodes are interviews that come up at the last minute that I didn't plan on, that weren't on the schedule, but that I didn't want to say no to. And so rather than sitting on them and waiting for a chance, because I plot the episodes out weeks in advance, that I release the bonus episodes when I get them, because they're tied to an album release, a video release, a concert coming to the area, some kind of big announcement of some kind. And so this week, not only are you going to get episode 200, but you are also going to get a bonus episode tomorrow as well, because I could not turn down the episode. And I couldn't turn down the interview. So I really was excited to be able to celebrate this milestone with you guys, because you guys here in the War Room, this War Room family has been holding my hand through everything the last 4 years. Jonathan says, I'm old, what's Twitch? So if you guys can chime in the comments and explain to Jonathan what Twitch is, that would be great. Jessica said, I was going to ask the same question. Carol says, Jonathan, I'm older. Christine says, congratulations on episode 200. Let's see. Walter says, I have never missed an episode. Travis says, I cannot wait to listen. So let's talk about a couple of things so I can tell you guys who's going to be on this week's episode. So for anybody new joining me here in the War Room on Facebook for the first time, or Instagram or YouTube, I want to give you guys a chance to be able to come and hang out with me. You may not be aware that I am back on the radio in a bunch of different places, including every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. The Pike has a bunch of events that are coming up, including the end of this month. We've been talking about Big Gig 3 for months and months and months, and now finally we're just a few weeks away. That is coming up on April 27th of 2024. Tickets are on sale. There was an April Fool's Day sale. That was a legit sale, not an April Fool's Day joke. Stain, Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana are all going to be at the DCU Center coming up in Worcester on Saturday night, April 27th. Tickets are on sale now. Paper Cut, the Linkin Park tribute band, is going to be performing at the official Big Gig after party at Off the Rails on Commercial Street in Worcester immediately following the Big Gig. These are separate tickets that you need to purchase, but both events are listed on the events calendar at MistressCarrie.com. Also, the annual Hair Fest is coming up on July, is that 28th? No, it's July 20th. Sorry, guys. July 20th at Indian Ranch in Webster. That is going to be a day concert headlined by Def Leppard, the tribute band Leppard. There's also going to be an Alice Cooper tribute, a Bon Jovi tribute, an AC/DC tribute. So this is always a day show, the Hair Fest, and it's always a blast. It's at Indian Ranch in Webster, Massachusetts. You can go to the events calendar at MistressCarrie.com to get the link to get your tickets. You can also hear me every weekday afternoon on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. You can find me at 1063thebone.com. And I am going to be broadcasting live from the Tailgate Tour in Portland at the Cross Insurance Arena on Saturday night, April 30th, with Seether, with Stained, with Saint Asonia, and Tim Montana. And this is, tickets are also available for that show if you go on the events calendar at MistressCarrie.com. But I'll be broadcasting live from backstage at this show. So, there's a lot going on. So if you're new to the show, Carol says, I don't know Twitch. Mark says, are you going to be streaming video games now on Twitch? LOL. No, but there are a lot of people that do these kinds of streaming shows on Twitch as well. And a lot of people have said, I would love to be able to watch you on Twitch. So that is the next expansion. I just haven't gotten there yet. So yes, social. I'm drinking seltzer tonight, guys. No cocktails for me in the War Room tonight because I have to travel tomorrow and I have a lot of work to do later on tonight. So now is not the time for me to be drinking. Jessica says, finally stopped raining here in Kentucky. Yeah, we're going to get all of that rain and snow here in the Northeast over the next few days. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the podcast. For anybody that's new to the War Room, last week's podcast episode was episode 199, and it featured Chris Jericho from Fozzy. And why does this Raven drum logo keep popping up there? Social. Chris Jericho and I talked about why Fozzy doesn't release full albums anymore, that they're just releasing singles now, like the new song Spotlight that's out. We talked about how he fell in love with rock and roll and how he grew to love heavy metal. And it was because of the chicks, because he wanted to meet girls. And when he went to junior high, they were all wearing Ozzy and Judas Priest shirts. So he got into heavy metal. We talked about his dogs, including his golden doodle Angus. Yes, Chris Jericho has a golden doodle named Angus. We also talked about his thoughts on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, how he protects his voice and his throat, being a professional wrestler and a musician. We definitely talked about a lot of stuff. I loved having Chris on the show. He's been on my radio shows before, but this was his first appearance on the podcast. I've been trying to get him for a while. And so I was so excited that he finally came on. So last week was episode 199. Rachel King says Fozzy. Jonathan says Fozzy rocks. Trina says, honestly, it's a great idea to stream on Twitch. I'm working on it. Let's see. Betty says, did you see that Shinedown is going to be playing with Doja Cat for Kiss 108? I did see that. I knew it was going to happen ahead of time. And this is part of Shinedown kind of crossing over and finding a whole new audience because of a symptom of being human, which, what? This is the only, over here. Do you want to do one more set of tricks for everybody? This is the last Cookie Wednesday. This is the last, no, down. No, get down. Get down. Good girl. That's it, though. This is all the cookies I have. There's no more. There's no more cookies, okay? Can you just hang out now? There's no more cookies. Okay? So yes, I heard that about Shinedown. I think it's great for those guys. You know, the whole idea of like selling out and all of that stuff is not a real thing. When a rock band finally has a song that transcends the rock genre, the way that, Hardy or Jelly Roll or Tim Montana have kind of crossed over from country to rock and then to pop. Pop music is what's popular. That's where it gets the name. So for the guys in Shinedown to be so mass appeal and popular that they are getting put on the lineup of a show for Kiss 108, it's kind of insane. And the guys in Shinedown have been doing it for 21 years now. The fact that there's still people that are discovering them, you know what? They're one of my favorite bands and some of my best friends in the music business, and I want them to be as big and as successful as possible. So I'm all about it. So 199 came out last week. It features Chris Jericho from Fozzy. And if you haven't heard the interview yet, Chris Jericho is a master of so many things. He's a podcast host. He's a wrestler. He's a songwriter. He's a husband and a father. He runs his business. He has his own rock and wrestling cruise that sells out every year. And of course, he's the front man for Fozzy, and he's doing a lot of touring, and he's a very busy guy. So I was super excited. And he loves the Beatles, Brett says. Yes, exactly. Which we spent a lot of time talking about that. He and I and our shared love of the Beatles for sure. So Mike Dillon says, I come in and hear Shinedown is doing a country album or something. Look, they are doing a lot of stuff. Shinedown is working on a new album. The working title is Shinedown 8. They number the albums while they're in production, and then they name them and come up with like the whole aesthetic of the album before they release it. Would it surprise me if there were more crossover poppy songs on the next Shinedown album? No. Would it surprise me if they did a collaborative track with Jelly Roll that got released to country radio? No. I think we are seeing more and more artists that are transcending genres. We're looking at Beyonce releasing a country album right now, thanking Jack White for a lot of the inspiration for her new album. The genre blending is happening. It's been happening for a really long time, but it is definitely happening more and more, especially with artists collaborating. And that brings me to who is going to be my guest this week on the podcast. So episode 200 is somebody I've been trying to get on the show for the last couple of years. Hardy finally said yes. He is working on music in Nashville. I finally got him to sit still long enough. Hardy not only is a country artist, but he is also a crossover rock artist. And he's also a member of the songwriting community in Nashville, writing songs for other artists. And so I was able to catch up with him for episode 200 while he was in Nashville, putting the finishing touches on his upcoming new album that is going to be out this year, he told me in this week's episode. So you're going to get a lot of gossip from Hardy. He's hilarious. He's also doing something this weekend on CMT with Nickelback, which again, crossing over, introducing Nickelback, who has had massive pop success and obviously huge success in the rock world. And now Nickelback is getting exposure to the country world because Nickelback has a song named Rockstar. Hardy has a song named Rockstar that name drops Nickelback. There's a lot of blending going on. I had never met Hardy before. I had never spoken to him or interviewed him before. He and I really hit it off and had a great conversation. We talked about Johnny Cash. We talked about Nine Inch Nails. We talked about Korn. We talked about the rock music that he grew up loving in his adolescence before he even really became a country music fan and then country artist himself. We talked about what it was like for him to play as an opening act last summer at Fenway Park and what it's like to now be putting together his first ever amphitheater tour, the Quit Tour, that's rolling through New England this June. He's going to be at the Xfinity Center and the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion in June. I know the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion show is sold out. There may still be some tickets available for the Xfinity Center, but if there are not many. And so everybody had asked me who I was going to have on episode 200 of the podcast. And I think when you hit certain milestones in podcasting, some people do recap episodes. Some people will go back and invite the first person that was on to be, the 100th, 200th, 300th. And I decided that whatever artist I was going to be able to get in time, I was just going to let the chips fall where they may. Because that's how the last 200 episodes have been, is that I never know who's going to say yes. I ask everybody, and whoever says yes, I'm excited that they want to come on the show. There were a few different episodes that were possible to be the 200th. Some of the other people that said yes are artists that have been on the show before. And I thought it would be really cool to have an artist that has not been on the show before, especially somebody that is like one of the biggest artists in music right now, to have him be episode 200. So I was super excited about that. Then I got a call that said Joe Satriani and Steve Vai want to come on the show. And they're going to be at the Orpheum Theater this Friday night in Boston on their co-headlining tour. And I had already slated Hardy to be episode 200. And I was like, you know what? What better way to celebrate 200 episodes than with 2 episodes that come out tomorrow? So Hardy goes live at midnight. And then tomorrow morning, you're going to get a bonus episode of Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, who are on the episode together, talking about their new collaborative song that they just released on Friday. They talked about touring together. They talked about their first guitars, songwriting, guitar tone. They talked about Eddie Van Halen a lot in this week's episode. They talked about their fashion sense. And I also asked them the question, which song of the other guitarist do you kind of wish that you wrote? What song, Steve Vai, do you love of Joe Satriani? Joe Satriani, what song of Steve Vai do you love? And it just so happened to be the week of opening day for Major League Baseball. And I just happened the night before I interviewed them, was flipping around on TV, and Brad Pitt's movie Moneyball came on about the Oakland A's, and Joe Satriani is in the movie. And so he actually told me the mistake that led to Joe ending up in Moneyball, because that was totally by accident, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So 2 episodes this week. And obviously, like I was telling you guys before, normally the rush to get 1 episode out every week with the sit rep and everything else, but then to get the 2 episodes out, and then knowing that I wasn't going to be in the studio all week to get it done either, the last few days have been kind of crazy. So double the pleasure, double the fun, says Bish. Exactly. Lou says tremendous. Let's see. From your lips to Chad's ears. Does Hardy talk about Wait in the Truck with Lainey? I didn't ask him a lot about country music, because I wanted to talk to Hardy about all of the rock stuff that he's got going on. And he was really excited to talk about the rock community and how surprised he is that the rock community is embracing him the way that it is. Jonathan says, we need an episode with Ian Barrett. It's coming. I will tell you that Ian and I were part of the team that went to Woodstock 99, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. So Ian and I have been talking about doing a Woodstock 99 recap episode. And since the anniversary is coming up in August, I will bet you that Ian is going to be on the podcast, along with 1 or 2 of the other people that went with us from WAF, because I want to talk to them about their shared experiences of Woodstock 99 as well, since it's the anniversary this year. Mike Dillon said, one of my best work memories standing midway up Gillette opposite the stage for Satriani's sound check. He's a shredder, man. And Steve Vai, and I even tell Steve Vai this in the interview, his album Flexible is an album that so many of my friends and I, when I was in high school, listened to over and over and over again. And he tells me the story of the recording of that album, which means a ton to me, because so many of my lifelong friends that I have known from the neighborhood that I went to school with, we all love that album so much. It is weird, it is quirky, but we love it. And so to hear Steve Vai talk about how special the album is to him was pretty awesome. And that's in this week's bonus episode that comes out tomorrow as well. So, let's see. Steven wants to know when Chris Motionless is coming back on. I don't know, but he's welcome to come back on anytime. He and I hit it off amazingly well on the show at his first appearance, and I would love to have him come on the show again. So absolutely. Let's see. Did you ask Joe about the possibility of having new Chickenfoot music? I did not, because when you're structuring an interview with people that have a unifying project, meaning a collaborative album, a collaborative co-headlining tour, a new song that they were releasing, and you're in a limited time frame, right? They were doing interviews. I could only get them for a certain amount of time. And I always try not to ask questions that are going to alienate one of the two guests. So if I'm interviewing members of the same band, if one of them is a guitarist and the other one is a singer, I'll ask the guitarist a question about guitar and then a singer a question about the singing. But I always try to ask the questions to both band members or both guests so that one doesn't feel left out. So I didn't want to focus so much on Joe Satriani's multiple projects. I wanted to focus on their friendship together, the song they did together, and also their tour together, because I don't just want to ask Joe a bunch of questions and have a guitar god like Steve Vai just kind of sitting there not saying anything. Would you ever have Steve Austin on your podcast? Absolutely, because I know Steve Austin would want to talk about all kinds of music. So yes. Are you getting any of these comments? So where are you getting these comments from? Which comments are you talking about? I get all of the comments. So I get comments from Facebook, I get comments from YouTube, and I get comments from Instagram, all in one long thread that's here on my screen. But I think people on Instagram only see Instagram comments. I think Facebook only sees Facebook. I think YouTube only sees YouTube, but I see all of you guys. Just sometimes they fly by so fast I can't read them all. Carrie, find out what is going on with Joey Kramer. Well, I know that he is like resting. You guys heard my buddy McGee, the drum tech, who's a drum tech for Joey Kramer. He's been on the show. Right now, McGee is out on tour with Ringo Starr, which makes me just want to hide in McGee's pocket. So Joey isn't doing very much right now. I don't know if he is just taking a break. The whole band right now is taking a break, waiting for Steven Tyler's vocal cords to recover. So I'm hoping that they're going to announce that Joey is rejoining the band. Let's see. Kim wants to know an idea. When you do an update, run a test ahead of time, enough for all of us to tune in and allow you to work out the technical difficulties. So Kim, it's hard to do that with the multi-streaming, because when you go to then create a new thing, things reset again. So it's not as easy as you think to beta test this thing live in real time. Let's see. Would you have Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 on the show? Absolutely. Eric says, you're like Big Brother. You're like always watching us. Exactly. Is this really live? Tiana wants to know. Tiana, yes, this is really live. We are live every Tuesday night at 8:30. The episodes stay on Facebook and on YouTube, so people can go back and watch them after the fact. But Tiana, on Facebook, yes, we are live right now. So yes, you are live asking me questions, 100%. Which is one of the things I love about Cocktails in the War Room, is that there are a lot of artists that'll live tweet or go on Reddit and do an AMA session or whatever. And people have said, well, do you do that kind of stuff? And I'm like, well, I don't have to, because we do Cocktails in the War Room every Tuesday night live. People can ask me whatever they want. Wookie McKinnon says, oh, okay, that makes sense. Got you. Yeah, so I'm reading all of your comments. So some of, if you're watching on Instagram and somebody on Facebook is asking me a question, it may or may not apply to you, but you're all watching the same show at the same time. Michael Cole says, we thought it was Memorex. Jessica wants to know how my mom is doing. She is great. We saw her over Easter. She got to see the Easter Bunny. She's great. My sister's going to be house sitting. Family is going to be here watching Wednesday, who is now napping behind me on the couch. And so my sister is going to be able to spend a lot of time with my mom while I am out of town. There are delays, though, yes. Thank you, Louise. That depending on how you're watching me, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, it's like 10-second delay, 15-second delay, 5-second delay. It just depends. Let's see. Donna says, I watch the replay if I have to go to bed early and I miss the show. Have you heard from Sully? You know what's really funny, Jessica? I got a text from Sully today. So, Sully's daughter, Skylar, who is in her 20s now, which I can't wrap my brain around, was going through her dad's old t-shirt collection because he's got every Godsmack t-shirt that's ever been made or whatever. And she found an old WAF Godsmack t-shirt. We made commemorative shirts. The band obviously got some. Sully put it in his collection, never wore it. And he sent me a picture of Skylar wearing this old, brand new Godsmack WAF shirt. And he was like, check this shit out. And I was like, oh my God, don't get rid of that. Those are going for big money on eBay. And he was like, hell no, she is not allowed to take any of my t-shirts out of my collection. So I literally was texting with Sully earlier today. Mike Dillon wants to know what the process is for finding guests, personal Rolodex. Some of it's personal Rolodex. So it's a rock lifestyle podcast, right? So obviously I want to talk to people that are in the rock world in some way, shape, or form, whether they are instrument manufacturers or techs for rock bands or they are authors. When we do the military stuff, we always are kind of incorporating music discussions into that. But a lot of it is me calling the bands that I know. There are also managers, booking agents, record companies that are looking to promote albums, singles, videos, concert tickets, live streams, movies, books, artists coming out with signature lines of whiskey or cigars or whatever it is. And so they're always looking to help promote those things. And so sometimes they call me and say, hey, can they come on the show? Other times I call them and I'm like, hey, I know they got a record coming out. Hey, they're going to be coming to New England. Will they come on the show? So it's a little bit of everything, booking guests. Let's see. Louise says, oh my God, that is a collector's shirt. I know. Would you ever interview the Trans-Siberian Orchestra? Well, we actually have had members of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra on the show because members of TSO are members of other bands. So Mariah Formica from Plush toured with TSO this year. We've had members of Whitesnake that are members of TSO. So we have had members of Trans-Siberian Orchestra on. Let's see. Melissa says there is a mini documentary that's getting released about Sully. I believe he's going to release it on Instagram, but most likely it's going to be on all of his platforms. So Carol says, I still have my old gray WAF shirt. A lot of people still have all of that stuff. All right, we're running late, guys. So I want to run down all of the other stuff that's happening so that I can go and finish up and get ready. I haven't even packed yet for my trip. So, reminder, episode 200 comes out tomorrow. Hardy, that goes live at midnight. Tomorrow morning, Joe Satriani and Steve Vai goes live. If you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, you also get the Sit Rep, which goes live Monday through Friday in the middle of the night. Rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates. It's around 5 minutes long and you get it 5 days a week. Is Whitesnake a band anymore? Yes, David Coverdale got really sick and tore his rotator cuff while the band had just kicked off their worldwide farewell tour. So he gave Whitesnake the year off last year so that he could recover. And he is supposed to be announcing at some point this year, taking Whitesnake back out on the road for their farewell tour before he stops touring. He has not made an announcement on when that is going to happen, though. Let's see. Okay, so the Sit Rep, you can hear the full-length episodes, the bonus episodes, the Sit Rep, all of the episodes of the Mistress Carrie podcast. You can hear them on all of the different podcast outlets: Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeart, Deezer, Overcast. You can go to mistresscarrie.com. All of the episodes are there. Just click play. And every episode, audio only, is also available on YouTube as well. So if you want to listen to the podcast, just go to mistresscarrie.com. All the links are right there. Or just go to your favorite podcast outlet and just search the Mistress Carrie podcast. We are still holding strong at 149 countries that are listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. So thank you to everybody that has helped to take us worldwide. If you're celebrating your birthday today, I meant to take these pictures off too. That was last week. If you're celebrating your birthday today on April 2nd, you're sharing it with Quavo. You're sharing it with From Migos. You're sharing it with Emmylou Harris and also the late, great Marvin Gaye. So happy birthday to you if today's your birthday. Happy unbirthday to you, Keith. And I hope you have pants on. I just saw Keith commenting. That's why I wasn't sure what was going on. Jonathan saying, keep it in your pants. Jessica wants to know, is Five Finger Death Punch doing any shows anytime soon? Jessica, they are on the Metallica tour. So Five Finger Death Punch is touring around the Metallica tour. They're doing a bunch of shows with Marilyn Manson. However, they are going to be night number 2, M72 World Tour. That is at Gillette Stadium, August 4th. So that's when Five Finger is going to be around. Let's see. And so we're going to run down super rapid fire. A bunch of shows got announced this week. So I just want to go through a bunch of stuff that's happening. Serj Tankian, his memoir is coming out next month. Pearl Jam are going to be debuting their new album, Dark Matter, coming up on April 16th. The album comes out April 19th. So there's this insane stat that came out this week that AC/DC sold 1.5 million tickets for their European Power Up tour that they have since announced is going to have the Pretty Reckless opening up. A member of their management company, CAA, said that they want to get through the European tour before they announce any possible touring plans to extend into North America and around the world, but that it is their intent to continue to tour. They just want to make sure they can get through the European leg first. But they sold 1.5 million tickets in 24 hours for their UK tour, which is insane. New Cage the Elephant, Neon Pill coming out May 19th. Slash's blues album, Orgy the Damned, coming out on May 17th. The new single, Killing Floor, is out right now, featuring Brian Johnson from the aforementioned AC/DC and Steven Tyler on harmonica. It is a Howlin' Wolf cover. This whole album is blues covers with a who's who list of rock royalty. Linkin Park's singles collection, their greatest hits, Paper Cuts, is coming out on April 12th. The new song Friendly Fire, which is left off of their album One More Light from 2017, is available now. Okay, some shows got announced for the Garden. So we know Incubus is coming on the Morning View tour. That's August 31st. Weezer is celebrating the 30th anniversary of their Blue album with the Flaming Lips and Dinosaur Jr. on September 10th. Jelly Roll is going to be at the Garden on September 26th. 21 Pilots have announced they're going to be at the TD Garden on September 20th. Jeff Lynne's ELO is going to be at the Garden on September 23rd. And the Black Keys, who are releasing their new album, Ohio Players, this Friday, are going to be at the TD Garden. I can't believe we're already talking about shows in November. On November 1st, the Black Keys tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Walter says best wishes and deepest sympathy to you and your family, and have a safe trip. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Walter. Let's see. Jessica says, I heard the song Friendly Fire. I was impressed. It's Linkin Park with Chester Bennington. The DCU Center has got the Big Gig 3 coming up at the end of the month on April 27th. Also, Spencer Charnas and Ice Nine Kills Silver Scream Con is going to be there September 13th through the 15th. And Iron Maiden is going to be at the DCU Center on November 6th. Wednesday, what are you doing? Are you trying to knock all the pillows off the couch? Why are you doing that? Big Night Live has got Starset's Immersion Tour. That is going to be there coming up in May on May 14th. All of these shows that I'm talking about, by the way, are all on the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Okay, Xfinity Center, the aforementioned Hardy, June 21st. They have got everybody coming. Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, Styx, Foreigner, the Doobie Brothers, ZZ Top and Lynyrd Skynyrd, 30 Seconds to Mars, Creed with Three Doors Down and Finger 11, Cage the Elephant, Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie. Korn went on sale last Friday. That show, September 21st at the Xfinity Center. Tickets selling really, really quick for that show, by the way. So tons of concerts. Steve Vai and Joe Satriani at the Orpheum this Friday night. Greta Van Fleet at the Mohegan Sun Arena on August 2nd. Godsmack with Nothing More in Flat Black at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion July 25th and at the Maine Savings Amphitheater on July 26th, if you don't mind going up to Bangor, Maine. Nothing scheduled in Massachusetts as of yet from Godsmack, but we know the dates are coming. I Prevail and Hailstorm are going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion July 16th. Slash's Serpents Blues Festival is going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion August 1st. The 311 Unity Tour with special guests AWOL Nation and Neon Trees, August 7th. 311 also this week announced they're doing their own cruise, which a lot of bands are doing. Creed's doing it. There's always the Monsters of Rock cruise. Fozzy has their cruise, Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling cruise. A lot of bands are getting into the cruise business. 311, that cruise ship is just going to have a cloud hovering above it everywhere. Bush's Loaded Greatest Hits Tour, August 24th at the Leader Bank Pavilion with Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. The Sasanta Tour is kicking off tonight at the Box Center Wang Theater. Tonight is the start of the tour. They'll be there again tomorrow night. Dead Poets Society is going to be at the Sinclair on May 6th. The Stones are at Gillette on May 30th. And of course, Metallica is at Gillette Stadium with Mammoth WVH, Pantera, Five Finger Death Punch, and Ice Nine Kills August 2nd and August 4th for the no repeat weekends. The Fenway Concert Series continuing. Hootie and the Blowfish, Collective Soul, Bare Naked Ladies, Edwin McCain, June 21st. The Foo Fighters sold out Fenway July 21st. Blink-182 at Fenway July 23rd. Def Leppard, Journey, and Heart August 5th. Green Day, The Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas on August 7th. And Pearl Jam, 2 shows September 15th and 17th. Let's see. Why does Spencer's name sound like a spell from Harry Potter? Spencer Charnas? Let's see. Flat Black was great, says Christine. She said Bangor, but I hardly knew her, says Bish. Jessica wants to know, is Sevendust touring anytime soon? They've been out on the Machine Killer tour with Static X and Dope. They were just at the Palladium in Worcester not 6 weeks ago. So Sevendust has been touring a lot. But if you're a Sevendust fan, the Boston Marathon is 2 weeks away. John Connolly from Sevendust is going to be running the Boston Marathon. He qualified. He ran as a charity runner last year, challenged by Mark Tremonti from Creed, Alter Bridge, and Tremonti. John Connolly ran his first Boston Marathon in 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 45 seconds. For his age group, qualifying time was under 3:15. So he actually qualifies as a bib runner for Boston. If you are a runner or just a diehard Sevendust fan, follow John Connolly's pages on social media because he charts and documents all of his training. He is super excited to come to Boston in a couple of weeks as a qualified runner. And he's going to kill it. He's absolutely going to kill it. April 27th, Queensryche and Armored Saint at the Palladium. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster are there on May 18th. This is Jason Todd, the original guitarist from Shinedown's new band. And the NoFX Finale Tour, August 31st and September 1st at Campanelli Stadium in Brockton. That is coming up towards the end of the summer. MGM Music Hall at Fenway, Judas Priest on April 25th. The Black Crowes on April 28th. Bad Religion, Social D on May 7th. Gary Clark Jr. on June 7th. Kings of Leon on September 16th. And Sting on October 4th. All of those tickets are on sale. House of Blues has got Architects on May 6th, the Black Veil Brides on May 8th, Hatebreed with Carcass, Harm's Way, and Crypta on September 27th. Again, all of these are on sale now, and there's still more shows getting announced, guys. Keith Wallen from Breaking Benjamin, his solo tour is going to be at the Paradise Rock Club coming up on July 22nd. He was on episode 198 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. City Winery Boston, Jesus Jones is there tonight. The Soto Bueller Tour is going to be there on April 6th this weekend. 10,000 Maniacs on April 28th, and Hawthorne Heights coming up on May 6th. The A Day to Remember, the story so far, and 4 Year Strong. This is a new old music venue in Boston. They have rehabbed Suffolk Downs, and it is now called The Stage at Suffolk Downs. This show is coming up on Friday, June 28th, and it's supposed to be beautiful in there. I have not been in there since they spent all of the money rehabbing it, but if you go to the Stage at Suffolk Downs website, it looks pretty impressive. So it's pretty badass. What is going on? Why is that screen black? I don't know. It's very strange. Okay. New release is out on Friday. Alpha Wolf, The Black Keys, Five Finger Death Punches Deluxe Edition of Afterlife, Foghat, Garbage, Modest Mouse, let's see, and Vampire Weekend. These are all of the new releases that are coming out on Friday. And I also want to remind you guys that Record Store Day is coming up on April 20th, which is the music industry's day to celebrate and support locally owned brick and mortar record stores. And there are hundreds of exclusive releases that are coming out this Record Store Day. So you can go to recordstoreday.com. Keith says error, blackout. Yeah, I don't know why it did that. Again, there's a few ghosts in this machine with all of the updates that I just have not been able to figure out. All right, mail call this week. I was not able to make it back to check the mail after the game today. It went into extra innings. Everything got delayed. So mail call will return next week when I get back from California. So I apologize if you guys have sent stuff in the mail this week. I was not able to get there. I will do my best to try and get there tomorrow before I leave town, because I know there are some perishable items that are supposed to be in the mail on the way. Okay, fine. I'm drinking social. But I was not able to get there. Mr. C was in town over the weekend. It's just, everything has just been a little bit crazy over the last few days. Okay, new merch items that are on the way in the online Mistress Carrie store. There is a lot. We have got Father's Day baby onesies that are on the way. There are new black on gray 3/4 sleeve retro jerseys with all new artwork on them. There are also black pullover Mistress Carrie hoodies on the way, and a line of Mistress Carrie Vader drumsticks that are on the way as well. Denise says, I saw today that Foghat is playing the Wolf's Den at Mohegan, a free show. Mohegan does that from time to time where they bring artists in for free just to get people to go into the casinos. And from what I hear, they pay the bands really, really well to do those shows, which is why the bands agree to do them. What's up, Tiana? Eric says, gotta go, guys. Gotta get back to work. Damn Wrigley Field, he says. Bring that beautiful California weather back with you. Jason, I got to tell you, I've been watching the forecast where I'm going to be. It's going from the mid 70s to the low 50s to the 60s. I don't even know what to pack right now because it's just crazy. All right, Backstage Pass holders. If you do not have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass yet, you can get them on Pantheon, you can get them on Patreon. Pantheon is the podcast network. You can get them on Patreon. We just got together at the end of last week. I will let you guys know when the live stream is going to be for April. It's probably going to be after the big gig and after the tailgate tour up in Portland, Maine. So it'll probably be the end of that weekend, but I will let you guys know. But you find out who's going to be on the podcast before anybody else. You get travel blog updates when I leave town, early access to event tickets and information, and also exclusive ticket giveaways. So right now, Backstage Pass holders have access to free Judas Priest tickets at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway on April 25th, and also tickets to see Cage the Elephant at the Xfinity Center on August 22nd. So if you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass yet, click the link for Patreon on mistresscarrie.com, or just go to patreon.com/mistresscarrie. Keith says, whoa, she took a drink social. Yeah, well, I'm drinking seltzer tonight. I told you, I got to travel. Carol says, you can freeze them. Okay, well, I might eat them on the plane, Carol. That might happen. Pack layers, says Louise. Let's see. Alexa says, safe travels. Keep me in your thoughts. I am having a colonoscopy this week, and I am praying that they find the Barbie shoes that I ate in 1976. A routine checkup, but so important. Trina, good luck. I hope they find the Barbie shoes. I can't believe they haven't come out yet. I'm sure they have, but just in case. Yes, Polar Seltzer tonight. The lime is my favorite. So there you go. So if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you guys know how to get access to those tickets. You also get merch discount codes when new merch comes out. Sometimes we do Backstage Pass only sales. So if you don't have a Backstage Pass yet, you can get one. And just a reminder of all of the different places you guys can find me online: Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, Patreon. And then you can hear me and get access to the podcast on the Pike app, or you can go to pikefm.com or download the Bone app, or go to 1063thebone.com. Everything is linked. Everything you need to know is at mistresscarrie.com. So there you go. All right, guys. I apologize for the late start tonight, for the technical difficulties. Thank you guys for your understanding on everything. It has been a pretty devastating week for my family, and obviously my husband and my husband's family. And so as much as I'm not happy about why everyone's getting together, because the reason sucks, I am looking forward to being able to spend time with loved ones for the rest of the week. So we will definitely do the War Room. I will be back by the War Room next week. New episodes of the podcast go live tomorrow. The Sit Rep will go live tomorrow as well. And then the Sit Rep will be off for the rest of the week until Monday's Sit Rep goes live, because I'm not going to be able to do the Sit Rep or anything while I am traveling. Let's see. Safe travels. Tell Mr. C that we're thinking of him. Fair winds and following seas. Thank you very much. Michelle says good night and have a safe trip. Thank you guys so much. Wednesday, do you want to say goodbye? Come here. Come here. Do you want to say good night to everyone? Come here. Come here. You want to say good night to everyone? Say thank you. I'm sleepy. I want to go to bed. Right? She's going to have playtime and play dates with Charlie this weekend. So Wednesday will be very happy. All right. Mwah. Say goodnight, Wednesday. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for all of the love. We'll see you guys next week. Say bye, Wednesday.